Hello ladies and gentlemen, time for another DVD collection video. These seem to be the only thing anyone cares about. Don't you care about my opinions? You just want to see what I own. Fucking materialist pigs. Okay, so, got some really great stuff to show just now. It's going to be a few classics in there, some not so, but still interesting to talk about. But let's get on with it. First thing I've got to show is From Dusk Till Dawn. So yeah, this is written by Quentin Tarantino and directed by Robert Rodriguez. Who does it star? I've got to be honest, I haven't seen this one yet. Harvey Keitel, George Clooney, Quentin Tarantino, and Juliette Lewis. Yeah, no, I haven't actually watched this movie yet. If I'm being honest with you. So it's got the movie Full Tilt Boogie, which is a documentary about the making of the movie. But yeah, no, like I say, I haven't watched this yet. I'm definitely interested to see it. I mean, I passed comment before that Tarantino's quite hit and miss. I reviewed Jackie Brown recently, and that's a hit. But like I say, and I feel quite similar about Rodriguez actually. He's definitely a very hit and miss director. He's got to be said as well. But From Dusk Till Dawn, like I say, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really comment. But I'll definitely be checking it out soon, and if I think it's worth it, we'll give it a review. So yeah, that's From Dusk Till Dawn. Next up, we have the Funhouse. This is an Aerodrome release of the Tobe Hooper early 80s video nasty, The Funhouse. This one was only briefly on the list, and it wasn't prosecuted. There's the Arrow catalogue from whenever this came out, a few years ago, I think. It comes with a booklet. What's in the booklet? Just an essay on the movie by Kim Newman. I'll have a read of that later, I think. I don't think I've read that. But yeah, the Funhouse is definitely an interesting one. Oh, I was going to show you it's a reversible cover. That's the sort of standard Arrow video, Aerodrome cover. That's the inside cover. I generally prefer the more retro covers, so oftentimes it's the inner cover that I prefer on such things. But yeah, no, the Funhouse is a Tobe Hooper movie from the early 80s. And it's basically... I actually make reference to this in my Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 review. I'll leave a link to that in the description, as will I leave a link to my Jackie Brown review. And this is kind of a lot in terms of like the palette and kind of the sort of atmosphere. It's quite similar, I guess, to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I'll probably say this is a little bit better than Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 actually, because I think this pulls it off. But like I say, this is a pretty good movie. It's basically about like the carnival comes to town. And this group of kids end up trapped in one of the attractions, and one of the carnies is a bit screwed up looking and a bit psychopathic. This movie definitely has its finger. This is very much a horror movie that's replete with references for horror fans. You know, there's references to Halloween and Frankenstein and even Texas Chainsaw in this that fans would pick up on. So it's definitely an interesting watch. So yeah, that's the Funhouse. Next up we have the Gallows. Now, I haven't watched this one yet either. I only got this very recently. I remember this one being advertised quite heavily and planning to go to the cinema and see it, but I never got round to it in the end. And judging by the reviews and the fact that I got this second hand for £1.50 in a CEX, only a year after it came out, I would imagine this is probably a bit gash. Yeah, no, I mean it had a 4.1 rating on IMDb, and like I say, it's £1.50 in CEX, so I would imagine that it's a bit rubbish, because to be that cheap that quickly in CEX, it can't be that popular. But apparently it's like a found footage type thing. I didn't know because they didn't really advertise it as such. But yeah, no, I will check it out soon and possibly let you know what I think. Okay, next up, some sitcom goodness with Game On. This is a mid-90s sitcom, a little bit forgotten, often said to be the nearest thing to a British take on Friends, which is, I guess, accurate. It's basically a flat share sitcom, 3 20-somethings, one of which is Samantha Janus, who obviously went on to greater fame after this. She's in EastEnders now. Yeah, no, Game On was pretty funny. Good sitcom, good laugh. Not a classic by any means, but definitely, if you're into your sort of cult comedies, this is one that I'd suggest checking out. The Ghastly ones and Seeds of Sin. So this is an import from America, from Something Weird Video. So I only got this because it is the Ghastly ones is on the Video Nasties list under the name Blood Rights. Otherwise I wouldn't have bothered. But this is, yeah. I picked it up. It is so bad I couldn't get through it. I do need to give it another go, and I haven't even tried with Seeds of Sin yet. I know that it's by the same, Andy Milligan is the director's name. The Ghastly ones, it's something to do with these sisters who have to go and stay in a house over a weekend or something to inherit some money. Oh god, it was so bad I couldn't get through it. Visually speaking, the film is puke. There's cuts in really weird places. All the costumes are very odd. It seems to have been made for a budget of about 3p. It's just complete load of rubbish. There's an audio commentary and some theatrical trailers and some deleted scenes and some bonus trailers, and I've no idea. It's whatever. It's oh god, it was utter garbage. I might try and get through it someday. As I say, this was only really bought out of curiosity because it was on the list of Video Nasties in the UK. I believe it was prosecuted. I've no idea why. But yeah, the Ghastly ones. Goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire. Yeah, this is the Jerry Lee Lewis biopic. What did I think of this? I like this. I think this is a pretty good movie. It's obviously Dennis Quaid as Jerry Lee himself, Winona Ryder as his wife. I definitely like the music more than the movie, I'd say. Obviously the music is kind of what, saves the day here. Overall it's a bit campy and ludicrous, the movie. But, it's an interesting story, but it doesn't really give you a great deal of the bigger picture. It kind of makes Jerry Lee Lewis's career seem like it kind of took place over the space of about 2 weeks. But like I say, the actual events depicted in the film, although they happen quite quickly, it actually takes place over the span of sort of 3 or 4, 5 years. It's not as kind of compact as this movie would make it seem. But it is a pretty good movie. Visually speaking, it's really nice. It's a lot of fun. I'd suggest it. It's worth seeing, I'd say. But overall, I wouldn't go too far on it. It's definitely an interesting look at an interesting take on the career of someone like Jerry Lee Lewis. Obviously, someone who was as talented as he was controversial. Next up, we waited a long time for this and it was very disappointing. This is the Green Inferno, Eli Roth. Obviously this was finished in 2013, but was not released until, not released in this country until earlier this year, because there was a distribution issue with the movie. I believe the distributor shut down, and the film's status went unknown for a while. It got some festival airings and stuff, but it remained sort of on the shelf a little bit for a little while. This film's stupid. I didn't really like it. from a visual point of view, you know, it was all right. I mean, Eli Roth is definitely, from a visual point of view, quite a talented director. He just makes the stupidest movies, man. Honestly, I mean, and this is no exception. This is just, you know, from a genre that was problematic enough in the first place. This is a cannibal movie. This is an attempted sort of revival movie of the Italian cannibal movies from the late 70s, early 80s. This movie tries to be Cannibal Holocaust, but it's really a lot more sort of Cannibal Ferox. In fact, in places it's more Cannibal Terror than Cannibal Ferox. It's basically got, I don't want to spoil it, but it's if you've seen Cannibal Ferox, it's got basically the same ending as that. It's quite a racist film. You know, I mean, cannibal movies, generally speaking, were pretty problematic in terms of race depictions, but this is even worse than most of them. You know, in this movie, the white people basically get killed for being annoying, rather than for any valid reason, like they were in movies like Cannibal Holocaust or Cannibal Ferox. Yeah, this is a load of old shit. I wouldn't recommend getting the Green Inferno. It's Eli Roth's stupid style of filmmaking that just gets on my tits. You know, which is a great shame because you look at his first two movies, Cabin Fever and Hostel, both pretty good. And nowadays he just makes shite like this. But yeah, the Green Inferno, I wouldn't recommend it. It was a huge disappointment. And yeah, just felt like it was being made to indulge some sort of fantasy of Eli Roth's. But, you know, whatever. That's the Green Inferno. Bit shit, all things told. This film isn't a bit shit. This is very good, actually. This is Gremlins, the classic, I guess you'd call it a horror comedy. I didn't think it was that funny when I was a kid. It frightened the shit out of me. Yeah, this would be one of the first horror movies I ever saw. I mean, I saw the likes of Jaws first, and then I suppose Gremlins possibly would have been the next one. This is a pretty battered up old copy that I found in a charity shop, I think. If you haven't seen Gremlins, first pause this video, go and get hold of Gremlins and come back. But Gremlins is basically about these little creatures called Mogwais. There's one there. That's Gizmo, who basically there's a strict set of rules that you've got to adhere to with them. Don't get them wet, don't feed them after midnight, and don't let them out in the sun. The most important ones, don't feed them after midnight, which is a weird rule because when you think about it, it doesn't make sense. When is it okay to feed them again? Where does it have to be midnight in order for it to count? There are, you know, however many different time zones on the globe, and you know, it just you know, this movie doesn't make sense, but it's fucking awesome anyway. If you're looking for a horror movie to show your kids, you want to get your kids into horror, I'd suggest showing them Gremlins. There's not too much in this movie that would be particularly upsetting to a child. But yeah, that's Gremlins. Alright, so it's box set time. This is the Halloween collection. Now this one contains the movies from the first movie through to The Revenge of Michael Myers. And they're stacked up in quite an annoying way. I find that a little bit... Let me get them out so I can show you the discs. I'll get them out one at a time. Okay, so I must have watched that one most recently. Halloween 2's at the top. I will talk about each of these films individually. There's Halloween. Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Yeah, okay. This is Halloween 4. The Return of Michael Myers. And Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. Now, I'll talk about them in order. Yeah, I'll talk about them in order. So, Halloween, obviously, John Carpenter's classic slasher movie. Michael Myers is escapes from a mental institution 10 years after murdering his sister in cold blood. and comes after, returns to his hometown, Haddonfield, Illinois, and begins attacking babysitters on Halloween night. Great film, great atmosphere, great suspense, really enjoyable, classic movie. You all know this. There's no point in me telling you it's a great movie because everyone knows it is. Halloween 2, the sequel. And I've got to say, I think what must have happened here is this set is released by Anchor Bay. Anchor Bay. And two of the discs here are not Anchor Bay discs. They are Scanbox Entertainment discs. That's Halloween 2 and 3. So what I'm assuming happening is Scanbox was a company that must have gone out of business, and Anchor Bay got hold of the discs and acquired the rights to release these movies. So yeah, I think that must be what happened. This is Halloween 2. Halloween 2 is pretty much as good as a horror sequel can be, pretty much without being better than the original. It follows on from the exact moment that Halloween ends. Halloween 2 begins. So yeah, this is a great sequel. A little bit slow in places, but the body count's a lot higher than the original Halloween, and it's a lot bloodier than the original Halloween, which definitely keeps the excitement up and ongoing as time goes on. It's not better than the original Halloween, definitely not, but it is pretty good. It's a good sequel. I like Halloween 2 a lot. Laurie Strode spends most of the film in a hospital bed, which kind of puts a little bit of a dampener on things, but generally speaking, it's okay. Season of the Witch, Halloween 3. I don't like this one. I know a lot of people do. This has got Tom Atkins as a guy who something about some Halloween masks that are going to cause children's brains to melt. I thought it was fucking stupid. Didn't like it at all. Shame, because Tom Atkins is pretty cool. Yeah, no, that's the only one in the series that doesn't have anything to do with Michael Myers. They tried to expand it out into like an anthology series, but it just didn't happen. The Return of Michael Myers. This is Halloween 4. This is the one that introduces Danielle Harris as Jamie Lee. And this is a good movie. I quite like this one. A little bit silly in places. Basically, more or less, with the odd exception, I think that each Halloween film, with the exception of Halloween 3, which I don't like, the Halloween films with Michael Myers kind of get a little bit weaker each time, with a couple of exceptions. But The Return of Michael Myers is okay. Not bad. This is where it started to get quite stupid. The Revenge of Michael Myers. This is the 5th one. And this is the one where Danielle Harris discovers that she has a telepathic link to her uncle Michael. It's a load of old... Well, it's not quite a load of old shit, but it is pretty shitty movie. I'm not a big fan of Revenge. But you know, it's one of those things. It's the same with most of these slasher franchises. They just really ruin themselves as time goes on. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. I mean, you look at the likes of any slasher franchise, and it just goes on too long. But Halloween's got a reasonably good ratio when it comes to horror movie sequels. It's got a reasonable good to bad ratio, so that's Halloween. But this is one that you might be surprised to hear me say I like. This is The Curse of Michael Myers, or The Curse of Michael, it's listed as on the front. Now this is weird. It's listed on the spine and on the front, it's The Curse of Michael. It's listed as The Curse of Michael Myers in the credits on the back and up there, and I believe on the disc, on the disc it's The Curse of Michael Myers as well. It's almost like it's just a printing error. That this is The Curse of Michael on the front. I've always heard of it as being The Curse of Michael Myers, but I actually like this one. You might be surprised to know. Most people don't. I definitely think this is my favourite Halloween movie, aside from the first two. The Curse of Michael Myers. I say that because it felt like there was just more substance to it than your average Halloween movie. There was a little bit more to it than the sort of Michael's coming, run, you know. That's what the Halloween movies sort of became. So this one had a little bit more substance to it, obviously with the sort of cult thing going on. But yeah, Curse of Michael Myers. I like that movie. Thumbs up. All right, next up, a partial reboot. This movie erases everything after the second one. This is Halloween H20, 20 years later. Obviously, this is the return of Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. She's in hiding, working at a school where LL Cool J is the caretaker, security guard thing. Yeah, this is a pretty good movie, pretty basic sort of stuff. It's got that sort of post-screen kind of gloss of comedy about it, which I'm not overly keen on, but this is definitely a pretty good movie. But I'm probably preaching. A lot of people like this movie. It's just a bit on the short side. I mean, it's got an 82-minute running time, and obviously a lot of credits and so on. But you know, Halloween H20, I would recommend it. It's pretty good. This one isn't pretty good. Halloween Resurrection. Obviously, this is the movie where it went all out horror comedy rather than just being a horror movie. The previous one had elements of comedy, but this is a proper all out horror comedy. Putting Jamie Lee Curtis on the cover is a bit of false advertising. She dies. And I've got to say, actually, she dies before the credits, the opening credits even roll. But I've got to say, this has got to be a contender for longest time between the movie starting and the title card showing. It's got to be about 10 minutes. It must be, I'd say it's at least 10 minutes before the title card shows, after, pressing play on the movie. Yeah, so Busta Rhymes and, what's her name? Fucking hell, what? Tyra Banks, is that her name? Yeah, Tyra Banks. Busta Rhymes and Tyra Banks play these TV producers. They're producing an internet TV show about people going and spending time in the Myers house. Obviously, it's all a bit fake and phony and stuff, but this is just a bad movie. It's not funny, aside from one scene. The scene where Busta Rhymes thinks that Michael is their cameraman who's gone missing. So he's giving him a bollocking, but it's actually Michael Myers. That one scene's actually quite funny. It's a lot funnier than I just made it sound, but that's quite a funny scene. Other than that, load of took. And this one's not much better. The Rob Zombie remake, Halloween. Yeah, I thought this was crap, mate. I know a lot of people quite like this. They thought this was good as reboots or remakes or whatever go. No, I disagree. This is, I don't like Rob Zombie as a filmmaker anyway. I think he's a fucking, it's a rock star vanity project. And the second one's even worse. I don't have the second one. I am looking for it to complete the set, but like I say, that's the worst Halloween movie. I know a lot of people say that Resurrection's the worst, but it's not. The Halloween 2, the Rob Zombie Halloween 2 is fucking dreadful. One of the worst movies I've ever seen. Alright, next up, this is an interesting movie, Hard Candy. So this has, what's her name? Ellen Page in it. She plays a teenage girl who meets up with her online romance, who is in fact a 30-year-old man. There's a really weird vibe to this movie. It's, who knows what, who knows how much is kind of the big mystery of is this person who she says she is? How does she know this guy? Because she seems to know a lot about this guy. It's a really weird movie in that way. I definitely think I need to watch it again to get my head all the way around it. But I would suggest checking out Hard Candy. It's quite disturbing. There's some pretty strong violence in it. Some really creepy stuff going on. Yeah, overall it's a good movie. Ellen Page is a great actress, as I'm sure you'll agree. And this is a really good example of just how good she could be. So yeah, check out Hard Candy if you get the time. So this is Hatchet. This is from a few years ago. This is a horror comedy, but it's really more of a comedy movie than a horror movie. It's really, it's a parody rather than a horror movie. It's a parody of a horror movie, but it is a pretty good one. It is funny. I really like the character, the black guy. I can't remember his name or the actor's name. But you know, yeah, I really thought this was quite an entertaining movie. Obviously, it's cameo city. I mean, you've got Kane Hodder, Tony Todd, Robert Englund popping up in it. But I quite like Hatchet. Definitely some entertaining stuff here. Check it out. I'd say. I mean, who hasn't seen Hatchet by now? Alright, one of my favourite films, Clive Barker's Hellraiser. This is the old shitty Anchor Bay version. This is pretty low quality, the print on this version. But it's fine. I mean, it's got the trailer on it. There's a little featurette with some of the interviews with the cast and crew and my bae, Ashley Lawrence. But yeah, Hellraiser is an all-time classic. This is possibly my favourite 80s horror movie. Don't take my word for it, but I mean, I just love it. It's this is probably worth reviewing. It's kind of a kind of quite a traditional Lovecraftian, almost vampiric story about kind of being giving into temptation and that sort of thing. Obviously, the box opens up like a gateway to hell, and you kind of enter hell when you solve the box, and the Cenobites are there waiting for you, led by Mr. Doug Bradley, in character as Pinhead, of course. Yeah, Hellraiser is a wonderful movie. I'd highly recommend it. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got suspense. It's got sort of gothic horror elements. It's got gore. It's got viscera. So it's really got a little bit of something for everyone. Hellraiser. I'd suggest checking Hellraiser out. It's really good. Don't get this version though. I would far rather you got this version. This is the first three movies. I got this really cheap secondhand. So this is Hellraiser, Hellbound, Hellraiser 2, and Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth. This is released by Arrow Films, who of course have recently re-released the movie. This is why it was so cool that I got it so cheap. This was about £4 in CEX, and this has only been out a few months, so that is cool. But yeah, no, like I say, I love the first Hellraiser movie. The second Hellraiser movie is really good. That's actually not too far behind the first one. Third one's okay. And to be honest, I haven't actually seen any other movies in the series. They're kind of hard to come by. But I do plan on getting hold of some of them to see how they stack up. I've heard not well, but it's one of those things. It's one of those series where there's one movie in the franchise that I love so much. I just I feel the need to see them all. So yeah, that's the Hellraiser trilogy, if you will. Yeah, you've got two movies that I love pretty much, and one that is alright. So yeah, alright. So we've got another horror franchise here now. We'll wrap it up at this. This will be the last set that I go through. There's The Hills Have Eyes. This is a great edition. This is from Anchor Bay. This is 2 disc. So you've got the film and a shed load of special features. This has got documentary, audio commentaries. The American Nightmare is actually on here. If you haven't seen the documentary American Nightmare, that's a great look at the kind of rebirth of American horror that happened from the late 60s through to the early 80s. It looks at filmmakers like Romero and Craven and Carpenter and all these filmmakers, kind of the advances that were being made that sort of start with Night of the Living Dead and go through Last House on the Left, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Halloween. They go through all of these classic movies that kind of, and how they chart the sort of American life at the time. But this is a classic, The Hills Have Eyes. I love this movie. Rest in peace, Wes Craven. This is probably my favourite Wes Craven movie. It's very visceral, very in your face. Kind of like a slightly more souped up, if you will, Texas Chainsaw. Not better than Texas Chainsaw, but definitely it's like Texas Chainsaw on steroids a little bit. But yeah, I love The Hills Have Eyes. Great movie. Not so great, The Hills Have Eyes Part 2. Wes Craven actually disowned this film. He disliked it that much. Yeah. I might send that in, see if I can't win some shit. Probably well out of date. But yeah, no. This is The Hills Have Eyes 2. Wes Craven disowned this movie. I get the sense that he really didn't want to direct it. But I think it's okay. The trouble is that it's just a bit generic. It's very generic, is the trouble with the movie. But overall, I guess I can't blame Wes Craven for not being too thrilled with it, because, you know, he was a filmmaker of... he was a perfectionist. You know, you look at his great movies and they were all movies that did something new and something different, and Hills Have Eyes Part 2 just didn't. So, you know, I can't really blame him. It feels a lot like any old 80s slasher movie. So, yeah, that's the Hills Have Eyes Part 2. Here's the remake, Hills Have Eyes. I reviewed this one, so I'll leave a link to that in the description. So I'm linking to like 3 movies in the description, and my podcast as well, of course. So, you know, it's going to be one busy old description. And I haven't watched this one, Hills Have Eyes Part 2, so I can't comment on that. But I'm, you know, judging by the first one, I'd imagine this is a load of old tut. But yeah, that'll do it for this week. As I said, link to the podcast in the description. Make sure you go and check out all my other reviews, because they're really great and good, and the video quality is a lot better than this, because I can't be bothered to do the DVD collection videos on the decent camera, which is, you know, kind of a bit of a stubbornness on my part, because the DVD collection videos are the most popular ones, even though I put a lot more time and effort into the reviews. So, you know, for that. But yeah, go and check them out. Please do check out my podcast, though. That's the whole reason I do this, is to promote the podcast. Go and check out Ironcast. Links in the description, as always. And thank you very much for watching.